On frigid nights when the wind cuts through bare branches and dogs howl at unseen shadows, the forest feels alive. Echoes linger longer than they should, as if voices answer from the trees themselves. Trees groan as if they're trying to whisper welcomes to those nearby, or perhaps whisper warnings to those who might think to defile their woods. Throughout time, throughout culture, the tale of the tree spirit arose. They are mostly seen as fair and discerning creatures of nature, observing that which crosses into their realms, willing to peacefully guide those with good intentions, and punish those who desecrate their forests. In some areas they appear as nothing more than mist, and in other areas they are powerful deities. But whatever they manifest as, and wherever they are, tree spirits inspire respect for the forests, receive their blessings, or cross them at your own peril. In Japan, the echoes of the mountains and forests are not tricks of sound, they are whispers of the Kodama, arising from Shinto animism, either created or discovered. Kodama are ancient Japanese tree spirits, guardians of forests whose lives are bound to the trees they inhabit. They embody the belief that kami, or divine spirits, dwell in natural elements, especially ancient trees. Cutting down a Kodama's tree is believed to bring misfortune, sometimes resulting in death, while honoring it could bless the land with fertility and vitality. While they mainly reveal their presence through echoes or odd sounds in the forest, they sometimes take more definitive forms. Instead of an invisible guardian of the forest, they may appear as a ghostly orb or a small humanoid figure. However they appear to those who enter their domain, they expect a high amount of reverence for the forest they reside in, and will hand out consequences accordingly. Kodama have a life bond with a specific tree, meaning if one dies, so does the other. Since the Kodama is already a spirit, this may mean they become banished from our realm, or perhaps even something more frightening to think of. When a Kodama tree is cut down, the Kodama leaves a curse on the offender, and any blessing which could have been received vanishes with it. Because of the Kodama, Japanese forestry practices encouraged reverence for ancient trees. Often they were given sacred markers. Trees believed to house Kodama were often marked with sacred rope to protect them, a warning that this tree is divine. Many of these ancient trees became shrines of sorts, with people honoring the spirits with ritual and offering. The Kodama remind us that forests are not mere resources, but living sanctuaries. They embody balance and prosperity when respected, calamity when defiled. In their silence, they teach reverence. Thousands of miles away, in the culture of the ancient Greeks, a similar belief in tree spirits took hold. Whether that was by coincidence or something deeper, the lore of the Dryad and the Hamadryad would emerge and make a lasting impact all the way through modern times, with their appearances in many books, shows, and games. The Dryad and the Hamadryad are often used interchangeably, but there is a small difference. Dryads are a more general term for tree spirits and wood nymphs. They are guardians of the forests and groves, but they are not always tied to a single tree, and they may still inhabit a forest down to the last tree that remains. A Hamadryad, however, is a specific type of dryad. Much like the Kodama, their fates are tied to a single tree. A life bond exists. When the tree dies, the Hamadryad dies also. Or in some references, the Hamadryad continues to exist, but goes totally insane. In fact, the bond is so strong that the same consequences can happen to the Hamadryad if it wanders too far away from their tree for too long of a time. The Dryad dwells in and among the trees, while the Hamadryad is essentially part of a tree. If their tree is harmed, they suffer. If it is killed, they die. The word Hamadryad is a combination of two words, Hama, which means together, and Dryas, which means tree, with Hamadryad meaning together with the tree. They are nature spirits who are born tied to a specific tree and who often take physical form, most commonly as a beautiful woman, but sometimes taking other forms depending on the type of tree they are bonded to. Like the Kodama, the Hamadryad's fate is linked to its tree, and the Greek gods themselves punish those who dare destroy a Hamadryad's tree. The Roman poet Ovid gave us the Greek tale of the fool king Erysichthon, who cut down a sacred Hamadryad-linked tree and incurred the wrath of the goddess Demeter. For long ago in Thessaly, there lived a king named Erysichthon, a man swollen with pride and blind to reverence. His hunger was not for food, but for monuments to his own vanity. When he sought timber for a grand hall, he turned his gaze upon a grove consecrated to Demeter, goddess of the harvest. At the heart of that grove stood a towering oak, older than memory, its roots deep in the earth and its spirit bound to a Hamadryad. The tree was not mere wood, but it was a living shrine and a vessel of divine presence. With axe in hand, Erysichthon himself struck. The blade bit into bark, and the tree shuddered and bled as though flesh had been wounded. From within came the cry of the Hamadryad, her voice mingling with the rustle of leaves, a plea for mercy and a warning of wrath. Yet the king laughed, mocking the sacred, and continued his assault until the oak fell, lifeless, to the ground. Demeter, hearing the cry of her spirit, rose in fury. She did not strike him down with lightning or plague. Instead, she gave him a punishment more insidious, a hunger that can never be sated. From that day forward, no feast, no banquet, no morsel could quiet the gnawing void within him. His storerooms emptied and his granaries hollowed. His wealth vanished as he bought food in endless desperation. In cruelty, he sold his own daughter Maestra, who bore the gift of shapeshifting from Poseidon. Though she escaped each time, her father's greed dragged her back into exploitation. And still, the hunger grew. At last, stripped of riches, abandoned by kin, Erysichthon faced the abyss of his curse. In madness, he turned upon himself. His teeth tore his own flesh, his body devoured by the very hunger Demeter had sown. Thus the king who mocked the sacred tree became his own feast, consumed by the emptiness he had unleashed. The Kodama and the Hamadryad essentially represent the fragility of nature and the consequences of human destruction. They are not alone, however. The idea of tree spirits of varying power and authority stretch out across our world from ancient cultures dotted everywhere. India has the Yakshinis, female nature spirits tied to trees like the Ashoka and Sal. They embody fertility and abundance, though some tales portray them as dangerous. The Tamils have a goddess linked to the Palmyra palm, revered in Tamil culture as a fertility deity and protector. Tane Mahuta of the Maori is a god of forests and birds, born from separating earth and sky. He embodies the living spirit of trees, especially the mighty Kauri. These many spirits all reinforce the sanctity of forests and the justice dispensed for violating the trees and spirits tied to them. They remind us of the interdependence between people and the natural world. With all of the similar tree spirit lore that comes to us from all across the world from different ancient cultures, one could not be discouraged from wondering, is there something more than coincidence at play here? Whether it's just in our psyche, some collective consciousness, something supernatural and ancient, or even just coincidence though, the moral remains true and valuable. Those who disrespect nature do so at their own risk.